Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College Horizons webinar today. Today's webinar is titled The Gates Millennium Scholars and Aigc Scholarships for Native Students. Thank you to the students, educators, parents, and teachers out there joining us. Today's webinar will be recorded and placed on our YouTube channel. A link to the recording will be sent to everyone who registered. If you encounter any tech issues today, please use the chat box in your GoToWebinar panel, and we'll do our best to help you out. To participate on today's webinar, we also invite you to use the question box located on the GoToWebinar panel on the right side of the screen if you have any questions, because at the end of today's presentation, we will have a few minutes for a question and answer session where we'll select a few questions to toss at our speakers today. Any remaining questions will be answered privately via email. Before I introduce today's speakers, I would like to briefly introduce myself and share a bit about College Horizons and just submit a plug for our upcoming programs in 2015. Dosha, my name is Hilary Abe. I'm the coordinator of recruitment and alumni affairs for College Horizons. I'm a citizen of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation, and I'm also a proud alumnus of the College Horizons program, going back to my high school days. College Horizons, for those of you who don't know, is a national college access and success nonprofit organization whose mission is to facilitate the higher education of Native American, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian youth. We do this by offering two different kinds of workshops that occur in the summer. College Horizons is our first workshop. It's our annual program for high school students, which will be held twice in 2015. And then Graduate Horizons, which is our graduate admissions workshop for college students and college graduates, which is held every other year and is set to occur again in 2016. In 2015, like I mentioned, we will be offering two College Horizons workshops for current high school students. The first program will be held at Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, the other at Stanford University in Stanford, California. The dates of each should be on the slide right in front of you. College Horizons can best be described as a crash course on the college application process and financial aid process for rising juniors and seniors in high school. For 6 days, 100 Native students come from all over the country together to experience residential life on a campus, learn the ins and outs of the college application process, hone their application materials, and work on one-on-one with program faculty, making lasting friendships, and most importantly, acquiring the tools to make their college goals and dreams a reality. We partner with over 40 of the nation's finest universities and colleges who also serve as faculty at our program. Financial aid is available for students who qualify, so that shouldn't be a deterrent for students who are looking to apply to our programs. One thing I'll say is the application to this summer's program will become available by October 15th. Just go to our website, that's collegehorizons.org, for more information and to sign up to receive the application as soon as it becomes available. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce today's speakers from the American Indian Graduate Center. Gabe Bell is the coordinator of student services and operations at Aigc, and Melvin Monette, Director of Graduate Fellowship and Special Programs. Thanks to both of you for leading us today on today's webinar.
Hello, I want to thank Hilary Abe for facilitating this webinar. I do want to just take the moment now to begin our webinar presentation and just talk a little bit about what our offices have to offer with regard to scholarships. Again, my name is Gabriel Bell. I'm a member of the Cheyenne Arapaho tribe located in Contra, Oklahoma. I was a fortunate recipient of the Gates Millennium Scholarship program when I attended college during my time after high school. So I've been on board now with the American Indian Graduate Center Scholars now for the past 4 years. As Hilary mentioned, I do operate in the capacity of Coordinator of Student Services and Operations. I do work alongside Melvin Monette, who's also going to be presenting after me. And we're excited to share some information about the opportunities that we have in our office. So we do look forward to all the questions, and we look forward to sharing the information, and hopefully this will spur some interest among these programs. So the Gates Millennium Scholarship Program is one of the programs that the American Indian Graduate Center Scholars administers on behalf of American Indian and Alaska Native students. Many folks are aware of this program. Those of you who are not, I hope you'll find this information helpful to you. Bill and Melinda Gates both set aside $1.6 billion through a grant through their foundation with the idea of funding 20,000 young students across the nation. They have tapped the American Indian Graduate Center Scholars Office to administer the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship on behalf of American Indian Alaska Native students all across the country. We work in conjunction with 3 other partner organizations, the first being the United Negro College Fund located in Washington, D.C., and they are the main administrator of the program. We also work alongside the Asian Pacific Islander Scholarship Fund, who are also located in Washington, D.C., as well as the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, who is located in Los Angeles, California. Each of our staffs and organizations work in geographically different locations with the same mission, and we do assist in the program with our respective ethnic cohorts. As far as eligibility goes for the Gates Millennium Scholarship Program, I have them listed here on the screen. Just to briefly mention them, you do have to be part of one of the ethnic groups listed as a first bullet point. One of the things we try to communicate is that we want to know what the student who's applying for the scholarship identifies under. We understand that some folks have multiracial backgrounds, and we just ask that student to choose which one they would identify under in order to apply for the Gates Scholarship. Once a student applies under a certain ethnic group, they will not be able to change that, and they will have to proceed through the whole Gates application process under that chosen ethnic group. You also have to be a citizen or legal permanent resident of the United States. At the time of the application, you should have a 3.3 cumulative GPA on a 4.0 scale, and that is unweighted. You have to be a degree-seeking freshman who will be entering college for the first time that following fall. So this does include those who have graduated high school in the past and never entered college. They can apply for the scholarship, as well as GED recipients who have never entered college. They can also apply for the scholarship. The 5th bullet point talks about leadership abilities through community service and extracurricular activities. The Gates Scholarship application is looking for highly competitive candidates who possess leadership potential as evidenced through community service and projects they've done, whether it's in school or outside, maybe through the community. So throughout the whole application itself, there's many opportunities to describe and list these events, these community service events that the student has participated in through grades 9 through 12, as well as describe in detail through the 8 essays that we have provided for the student applicants to also share in depth some of their experiences. The last bullet point is that the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship Program is identifying highly competitive students who also have a significant financial need. This is established through the FAFSA website, which I have listed there at the bottom. If a student is Pell Grant eligible, they would be eligible to apply for the Gates Scholarship. If you go to the FAFSA website at fafsa.ed.gov, you have the ability to submit an application after January 1 of this upcoming year. You do have the ability to take a look and use the FAFSA forecaster, which is on the bottom right-hand corner of the screenshot, to see if your family finances would allow you to be Pell eligible or not. It is a projection, it is an estimate, but it will give you an idea if you're curious. I always let those that are interested in the Gates Scholarship, I let them know that it'd be important just to take a look at that, but to actually submit a FAFSA application for one of 2 reasons. One being that you're going to apply for federal aid one way or another, so it'd be good to get that application in for the first point. The second point being not knowing exactly whether or not you're Pell eligible. The only way to certainly identify that is to actually submit a FAFSA application. So go ahead and do that at this website. There are a lot of helpful links that are located on this page. You'll find that there are YouTube videos. There's a live chat help feature on the website, so if there's any questions out there about FAFSA related questions, you can always fill them here at the website, and there's many helpful tools located here as well. Just to talk a little bit about the Gates Scholarship as far as how it operates, the Gates Scholarship does pay for a student's unmet need. It will come in as a last dollar scholarship behind all of their financial aid and gift aid. We will cover the unmet need as determined by the financial aid office, and we'll be covering the cost of attendance as listed. Tuition, room and board, fees, travel, books, and expenses are all accounted for in the award as we calculate it for the academic year. All Gates scholars, once applicants are awarded the scholarship, are able to renew their award annually, and they'll be able to do that up to 5 years at the undergraduate level, and we'll get into a little bit more of those specifics in in a couple moments. A quick example of how the Gates Scholarship would fund a given scholar would be, again, this brief example shows a student attending at a private institution with arbitrary cost of attendance of $52,000. They have the Pell Grant, a tribal scholarship, money from the institution, as well as a state scholarship, which leaves them a leftover balance of $23,602. The Gates Scholarship is a last dollar scholarship award, and it's going to cover that unmet need, what's left over, and it's going to cover that full amount of $23,602. As you might imagine, if you go to a different institution, this figure can change based on not only cost of attendance at the institution, but as well as differing amounts of financial aid from one year to the next. In any event, the Gates Scholarship would still cover that unmet need, no matter the number listed at the undergraduate level. You do have the ability to renew the scholarship, as earlier mentioned, and you have the possibility of utilizing 10 years of funding. So that will give you up to 5 years at the undergraduate level, 2 years at the master's level, and the 3 to 4 years at the PhD doctoral level, depending on how many used at the undergraduate level. So at the end of the experience, the Gates Scholars has the opportunity to utilize 10 years of funding, as described in the prior slide. A Gates Scholar can transfer from one institution to the next. We do have Gates Scholars all over the country, from one coast to the next. And should a scholar decide to transfer, that option is available to them. For Gates Scholars, they can pursue any undergraduate field that they would like. It's open to whatever they like to pursue. The Gates Scholarship also has a number of development opportunities that all scholars can entertain and pursue if they want to grow both professionally or academically. So back to the application process, there are 3 parts that the student will need to have submitted to complete their application. Number 1 and number 2 are both references that talk about the student's background. Number 1, the nominator form, is an educator that knows the student well and that can speak well on their academic achievement through their time at their high school or otherwise. The recommender form is someone that can speak to the student's leadership potential and their community service involvement. This can also be somebody within the school. It can be a community organizer, or it can be a teacher sponsor of National Honor Society. Both the nominator and the recommender will both have to submit their separate pieces in the Gates application website, and both of them also will be required to submit those before the deadline. Part 3, the nominator form, is what the student will submit with regard to their application, and this is the piece where they will be listing all their cumulative GPA, their activities, their community service. One of the more interesting questions that we filled is how is a Gates Scholar selected? And this is a really good question because a lot of folks think that it's based solely on GPA. But the Gates Scholarship application collects all the applications from across the nation, and we assess every one of them based on 3 categories, and that's academic achievement, community service, and leadership potential. One does not outweigh the other, but I would like to say that folks that do a really good job in their application throughout the whole process, takes their time and is creative in their long answer essay, submissions, as well as listing all their involvements from grades 9 through 12, is going to do a pretty good job in relation to someone that doesn't submit a whole lot of time and submits a poor application. Quality is highly recognized in this application process, and when we look at all three categories, that will be reflected when the reviewer does take a look at the application. This year, the deadline for the application is going to be Wednesday, January 14th. It's going to be 11:59 Eastern Time, and I just want to just direct you to the slide now where the gmsp.org website is shown here. I would just direct you to two links that are listed here. Both of them state the GMS application. I'll have you, those that are going to be considering applying for the scholarship, go to the gmsp.org website, click these links, and it will take you to the application itself. The next screen is exactly where it will take you once you press those application links. All you have to do is click apply for this scholarship, and it'll take you through the whole application process. The other thing I'd like to share at this point in the presentation is that both the nominator and the recommender will also be going through this process to start their portions of the application. There are no options for paper application submissions, so the whole application itself will be done online, and this is where you'll be able to do it. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Melvin Monette, who will share our opportunities on the American Indian Graduate Center side of our office.
Good afternoon. As Gabe said, my name is Melvin Monette. I'm the Director for Graduate Fellowships and Special Programs here at the American Indian Graduate Center, and I'm just excited to be here with you. You'll notice here on the screen, first of all, if you look to the right-hand side, you'll see that we also have a link to the Gates Millennium Scholars application, so we want to make sure that it's accessible to you and you can reach that from a variety of places. What we have with the red arrow in the circle here are undergraduate scholarships and the All Native American High School Academic Team, or as you see on your screen, ANASAT. That is how you access all the information about our two programs. The two programs for undergraduate students that high school seniors are eligible to apply to are the Accenture American Indian Scholarship Program and the All Native American High School Academic Team. Both of these require that you be an enrolled member of your tribe or 1/4 descent of multiple tribes. So you want to make sure that you can provide documentation of that. For the Accenture Scholarship, you need to be planning to study engineering, computer science, operations management, basic management, finance, marketing, and business fields. This is a merit-based scholarship. It is not need-based, so when you apply, you're basically going to be applying on your leadership skills, your community involvement, your grades, of course, are going to be a large part of that. Your nominator and recommender will be talking about your academic skills and your community involvement. So you want to make sure you have all of that put together. I'll show you where to apply for that in just a few moments. For the All Native American High School Academic Team, you need to be a full-time high school senior in the 14-15 academic year, which you're in right now. You need to have pretty outstanding academics. It's a very competitive application. You need to have proof of your leadership, proof that you are engaged in your community in multiple ways. You need to have two nominators. You'll need their email address so you can submit that, and they will receive an email link to complete a questionnaire about you. This is not a scholarship for college. This is actually cash to the student that you'll receive in the summer before you go to college that you can use to get to your summer bridge programs, you can use to purchase some books, maybe that backpack you'll be needing, the variety of pieces that you'll need to have before you go to college. It's a really good opportunity to get some little extra cash to get yourself prepared for college. So look for those two applications. On the AIGC webpage, looking at the undergraduate scholarships, you'll see the Accenture American Indian Scholarship is open now, and we're looking at closing it in the beginning of March. But on the right-hand side of that page, you'll see an apply or check status button. That button shows up on every page on our website. So at any time, you can apply to the program, or you can go to that same link, log in with your username and password that you create, and check the status of your application. You'll want to check to see if your nominators and recommenders have sent in their information. Make sure your institution and your tribe have sent in their information, and you can do all of that on that site. Another page, the All Native American High School Academic Team, also open right now for application. You can begin that application, you can save it and come back to it and complete it at another time. So go ahead and create a login for yourself. Begin looking at the questions and start building the application for yourself. It will be open until the end of February of 2015. Again, you'll see the Apply Check Status button on the right-hand side. When you select that, it's going to take you to an external application page where you'll use an active email address to log in and retain that active email address throughout college, and you can use that application and that username and password for all of your AIGC scholarships and fellowships, all the way through your graduate school opportunities. That's the two programs that we have available to high school seniors at AIGC and the Gates Millennium Scholars Program. So here you'll see we're ready for your questions.
Great, thank you for that short but sweet presentation, you guys. I've got a few questions here. Some are for both of you and some are specific to each of the two sides of the scholarship programs. So the first question we have is, should I still apply if the deadline passes? And I think that's applicable. That question is applicable to both of you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and answer the first one. With regard to the Gates Millennium Scholars Program, the January 14th deadline is going to be final. So at the stroke of midnight Eastern Standard Time on January 14th, the application website will actually close, and it will not be reopened, and there will be no applications that can be submitted after that point. So I highly encourage, with regard to any application, but specifically with the Gates Scholarship Program, if you are going to consider applying for that, to get everything that you can in order and submit everything. As I said, there are 3 parts. Make sure that they're all submitted well in advance of that deadline. Once you have submitted a completed application, you can always go back in and make edits to the application and resubmit, but you don't have to worry about the deadline coming up before you have actually submitted if you've done that already. We've had instances in the past where natural occurrences with weather or family crises have prevented students from applying. There have been no exceptions to the deadline with the Gates Scholarship Program, and I don't foresee any occurring in the future. So I would just say with the Gates Scholarship Program, if you're going to apply, make sure you get in as soon as possible.
That's the same thing with the AIGC scholarships. When the application closes, it's closed. You can't go back in to make any edits. So you want to get that started now. You want to get it completed as soon as you can. Once you submit your application, we can begin looking at it. If we find any issues within your application, before reviewers get a chance to look at it, we will contact you. So the earlier you can get an application completed and submitted, the better it is for you to be able to get someone to review it and look at it for the AIGC fellowships. The Gates Millennium Scholars Program does not have that option, so you don't want to confuse the two. Also, for, as Gabe alluded to, for anything that you're applying to, I always tell students, don't worry about the deadline date. Worry that it's open and you need to get in there, get things completed, get all the documentation that you need as quickly as possible, especially with nominators and recommenders. If you wait till the last minute to ask a nominator and a recommender to complete our online form, they may miss the deadline because you didn't give them enough time. So really, get in there as soon as you can, get everything as complete as possible, and submit as soon as you see that everything is done.
Great. The next question, for the Gates, what if you are Pell eligible the first year and then not the second year? Do you fill out the FAFSA every year to keep it?
Yeah, it's a great question. We do ask all Gates scholars, and I would advise anybody that's entering higher education to complete that FAFSA every year. But with the Gates Scholarship specifically, we would ask that when you're applying, you have to be eligible for the Pell Grant to establish your significant financial need. After that first year, your sophomore year, your junior year, and so on and so forth, you do not actually have to be Pell eligible. You do have to be Pell eligible during the year that you apply to establish that significant financial need.
And I'll remind you that for the Accenture American Indian Scholarship, you do not need to be Pell eligible for that.
Okay, great. And then this is our next question. What if you are a senior and you get admitted to an institution? If you're a first year or beyond in college, should you still apply to any of these opportunities?
With regard to the Gates Scholarship, you have to be entering college for the first time the following fall after the application deadline. We do have high school students that are concurrently enrolled at a college or a university. That's perfectly fine. In the event where a high school student graduates early, let's say their junior year, and then they enter college as a matriculated college student that following fall, that would then disqualify them from applying for the Gates Scholarship thereafter. So that's what I can say about that.
For the two opportunities available through AIGC, the Accenture American Indian Scholarship will consider a student who has entered college halfway through their senior year. The All Native American High School Academic Team, you need to be a high school senior the entire school year.
And also just to jump in there, in addition to what I already mentioned, we have a lot of questions that we filled with regard to our master's and doctoral level funding with the Gates program specifically. And some folks who have not applied for the Gates Scholarship prior to their graduate school, whether it's master's or PhD, will oftentimes ask, well, can I apply for the Gates Scholarship for just the master's or the PhD level programs? And the answer is no. Again, back to the application requirements, you have to be entering college for the first time to apply for the Gates Scholarship.
Great. And our next question is, for how many more years will the Gates Millennium Scholarship be available? At one time, we had heard there was a certain time frame and eventually it would no longer be available.
Okay, so actually in my second slide in the Gates presentation, it did list that the objective was to fund 20,000 students. We're currently past the 17,000 mark, so we're really closing up on that 20,000 commitment that was made by the Gates Foundation. There have been conversations about continuing the program, but nothing has been finalized on that end, so I really don't have any answer to give with regard to programs thereafter, but I would refer that question to the Gates Foundation. We are, as we know it for this first iteration, that is, we are wrapping it up really close to the full 20,000 that was originally committed to.
Okay, great. And then this one's for AIGC side. Are there Pacific Islander opportunities through the AIGC scholarships, or any other opportunities available?
At this time, there are none. AIGC specifically funds members of federally recognized tribes, but we always keep an eye on what is happening in the islands so that we can make sure the moment something changes, we can make available our opportunities to those students.
Great. And then we have one other question. If circumstances change and I may be Pell eligible in sophomore year, can I still apply?
And is that sophomore year of high school? I apologize. Sophomore year in college, I assume.
College,
if you're Pell eligible, once you enter college and then you're Pell eligible after your freshman year, you're not going to be able to apply for the Gates Scholarship since you're now in college. So it would have to be that first, the application deadline prior to the freshman fall. You'd have to be Pell eligible at that time. So I hope that answers the question.
Great. And then another question, do I need to be Pell eligible for the AIGC scholarships?
For the All Native High School Academic Team, no. That is a summer award directly to students who excel in high school in leadership and community service and academics. For Accenture, you don't need to be Pell eligible, but you do need to submit a financial need form after you're awarded to prove that you have the ability to accept the funds through your institution, and we work with your institution on that. So at this point in time, I say just work on the applications, get them in and completed so you can get selected for scholarship.
Great. And then there's a general question. Do you guys have any recommendations for sophomores or juniors to prepare for their senior year scholarship applications? Any scholarships that you might know of that are available for younger students to apply for?
That's such a huge answer to a very specific question. One thing that we always tell students to look to is look to summer programs like College Horizons. If you are not selected or not eligible for the College Horizons program, there are a number of programs at your local institutions, local community colleges. Sometimes your high school will have a financial aid night where they'll invite a lot of local folks who have a lot of other resources. One website that I'm always referring students to is fastweb, fastweb.com. I like to call it a internet dating service for money. You fill out everything you've ever done and everything you are, and that profile that you build is matched with a few 100,000 scholarships who contribute to that site. So you'll get emails, maybe mail at home. You might get some pop-ups. You'll get a number of things from fastweb.com that really match with what it is you say you are doing as a student right now and gives you an opportunity to apply to those. I have known students who complete everything for which they're eligible through fastweb.com who've really funded their entire education opportunity or their entire education with those scholarships.
I would also say, in addition to what Melvin shared, is that the internet is chock full of different websites that have collections of scholarships and scholarship search engines, and I would just go back to aigcs.org. We have a pretty good page there under our other opportunities and scholarships, where it has actually listed even the website that Melvin mentioned among a host of other scholarship search engines, and to include things like collegeboard.org. I think there's a link to, of course, the more general scholarship search engines that are out there. But it's really a matter of your ability to sit down and focus your energy on looking for a scholarship that applies to you. With regard to collegeboard.org, there's a really intense scholarship search that you can actually go in and put in the criteria you're looking for, depending on where you're going to school, which region of the country, and it will give you a whole list of scholarships with their deadlines, website links, and it will allow you to kind of go through there. As far as there being a magic bullet for your senior year, you always have to be looking at those opportunities that are available at the institution itself, whether you're at a private college or public college. Look at those resource offices that are available on campus. Look to your academic advisor for advice on other opportunities that are out there. I also always mention to some folks out there, if you're part of a tribe, look at your tribe's education department to see what opportunities they might have available. There are other tertiary organizations within a tribal government that may have opportunities that are available to students that are pursuing their education. So I would also check out your tribal organizations. And at the end of the day, we're always looking for ways to fund our college experience for the betterment not only of ourselves but our community. We oftentimes think of loans as one of those words that we don't like to use when we talk about financial aid, but when we really come down to the very end of the road and we've exhausted all the options that are out there, again, filling out the FAFSA website, FAFSA application at the FAFSA website will allow you access to other opportunities that are out there. I mean, there's options like work study. Once you get into your graduate level programs, you have the ability to pursue teaching assistantships. And then, of course, there are those federal subsidized and or unsubsidized loans that allow you to fund the remaining portion of your education at a relatively lower interest rate. And again, looking at that as an investment would be one way to position that thought in your mind. But back to the kind of the original thought. There's so many scholarships out there, so many grants available. It's really a matter of time and effort on the searcher's part on just when they can find the one that suits them the best. Never give up. We have some scholars that are in the Gates Scholarship Program as well as the Aigc that apply for tens, sometimes even hundreds of scholarships. and they just don't take no for an answer as far as how many different scholarships are out there. So I just want to throw it out there, just as a general philosophy, to never give up, even if you're in your junior or senior year. Don't think that there are not scholarships out there for you. Take a look, give it a good effort. AIGCS.org is here. We have our email address listed. We're always happy to engage with those students that are out there looking for scholarships and looking for ways to further themselves. So please give us a call, email us, or look at our websites.
Thank you, Gabe and Melvin. It looks like we've run out of time. Thank you to the audience for those questions and for joining us today. And a big thanks to AIGC for agreeing to present on this webinar. So as you heard from Gabe, please don't hesitate to email us or reach out to us with your questions. And please keep tuned for future webinars. We'll be making some announcements of upcoming webinars. One on the Common Application, and then one on financial aid in the coming weeks. We're going to go ahead and close out here. And thank you for coming again. Have a great day.